Alessandra Fontaine straightened her simple navy pencil skirt as the elevator climbed toward the penthouse offices of Coal Industries. Her heartbeat quickened with each passing floor. The interview for executive assistant to Adrian Coltha, notorious Glacier CEO of Manhattan, represented. Her last hope, the doors opened to reveal a cathedral of glass and steel. A sleek-faced woman with perfectly styled blonde hair assessed Alessandra with practiced indifference. "Mr. Cole doesn't tolerate tardiness. You have precisely 3 minutes." Inside the corner office, Adrian Cole stood silhouetted against floor to ceiling. Windows his back to her. Without turning, he spoke in a voice like polished granite. "Your resume claims you graduated top of your class at Columbia, yet here you are, applying to be my assistant." Alessandra lifted her chin. "My brother Matteo has cystic fibrosis. The medical bills depleted our parents' savings before they died. I need substantial income, not just prestige." Adrian turned then, and Alessandra felt the full force of eyes so intensely blue they seemed almost unnatural against his dark hair and tailored charcoal suit. "Most candidates attempt to impress me with ambition. I'm ambitious about keeping my brother alive, Mr. Cole." Something flickered across his face so brief she nearly missed it. Honesty refreshing. He gestured to a contract. "The position requires absolute discretion, exceptional organization, and zero emotional complications. I work 18-hour days and expect the same dedication." "I understand, do you?" His gaze pierced through her. "Everyone in this building exists to serve Coal Industries, not themselves, not their families. If you cannot prioritize this company, above all else, the door is there." Alessandra met his stare without flinching. "My responsibilities to Matteo happen before 7 a.m. and after 11 p.m. Between those hours, Coal Industries will have my complete focus." Adrian circled her slowly, like a predator assessing prey. "Most people find me intimidating, Miss Fontaine." Not most people." His lips twitched almost imperceptibly. Clearly, he extended the contract. "You start tomorrow." Later that evening, Adrian stood in his penthouse, tumbler of whiskey in hand, troubled by the unfamiliar sensation in his chest when the Fontaine woman had spoken of her brother. His phone rang. "Yes, Uncle Xavier. The board meeting is next month, Adrian. You know what's expected the Cole family marriage clause? Your father obeyed it. I obeyed it. Your inheritance depends on it." Adrian's jaw tightened. Good. The Devereaux girl comes from excellent stock. Make it happen." Adrian hung up and drained his whiskey, forcing away the image of determined brown eyes that had inexplicably followed him home. 3 months into her position, Alessandra had proven herself indispensable. She anticipated Adrian's needs before he voiced them, streamlined operations, never once complained about his exacting standards. What she couldn't streamline were the strange moments when their fingers brushed during document exchanges, or the way his gaze sometimes lingered. "A beat too long," the Singapore acquisition reports, Alessandra said. Placing the file on his desk, Adrian glanced up. "What?" Momentarily caught by the soft curls that had escaped her usually pristine bun. "You've been here until midnight, 3 days straight." "Needed to be done? Your brother has a night nurse this week." She smiled slightly. "I didn't neglect my responsibilities, Mr. Cole." Adrian Alessandra blinked. "Pardon? When we're alone, call me Adrian." The simple request hung between them, charged with unspoken significance. "That would be unprofessional," she answered carefully. His eyes darkened. "Since when has professionalism been your concern, Alessandra? You argued with me in front of the entire board last week because your approach to the Westlake merger would have cost 300 jobs. And your alternative saved them while increasing projected profits by 12%. A smile touched his lips. "Few people challenge me." "Perhaps they should," she replied, then immediately regretted her boldness. But instead of anger, something else flashed across his face: admiration. The moment was interrupted by his private line. Adrian's expression instantly hardened as he answered, "Cordelia?" "Yes, I remember our dinner engagement." Alessandra quietly excused herself, ignoring the hollow feeling in her chest. Cordelia DeVero, telecommunications heiress, social darling, and Adrian's apparent match in both fortune and bloodline. Later that night, Adrian sat across from Cordelia at La Bernardine, listening to her monologue about yacht specifications. Are you even listening, Adrian? This is our future we're discussing, is it? He asked, realizing he felt nothing for the beautiful woman before him. Nothing. Compared to the electric tension that filled his office whenever Alessandra entered, the Cold-Evero merger is practically predestined. Cordelia laughed. Using the business terminology that characterized their relationship, Adrian's phone buzzed with a text from Alessandra. Singapore called. Acquisition in jeopardy. Waiting. At office with solutions, he stood immediately. I have to go. Now, but we haven't even ordered. Business emergency, he said, already moving toward the door, surprised by his own eagerness to return to work tour. At Coal Industries, he found Alessandra, surrounded by spreadsheets, her hair completely down for the first time. The sight stopped him in his tracks. I've identified 3 approaches, she began without preamble. Working side by side until dawn, Adrian felt more alive than he had in years. As sunrise painted the skyline, he realized with sudden clarity that his carefully constructed walls had developed their first significant crack. I can't accept this, Alessandra said, staring at the envelope Adrian had placed on her desk. It's a bonus, not charity, he replied coolly. Your work on the Singapore deal was exceptional. This is enough for Mateo's experimental treatment. It's too much. Adrian moved closer. Nothing is too much for someone who... He stopped abruptly. Who what? She pressed. Who has proven their value to the company, he finished carefully. 4 weeks, their professional relationship had been evolving into something neither dared name. Longer glances. Unnecessary touches. Late nights discussing business that somehow drifted into philosophy, art, childhood memories. Rhiannon, Adrian's cousin and head of legal, noticed immediately. Whatever's happening between you and Fontaine needs to stop, she warned during their private lunch. Uncle Xavier is watching. The inheritance clause is explicit. You must marry someone of comparable lineage by your 35th birthday. Nothing is happening, Adrian insisted. Rhiannon's eyebrow arched skeptically. You've canceled 3 dates with Cordelia. Family expects an announcement at the Heritage Gala next month. The Cole family legacy is about business acumen, not medieval marriage traditions. Tell that to Uncle Xavier, who controls the trust until you comply. That evening, Adrian found himself driving to an unfamiliar neighborhood in Queens. He told himself he was merely checking on a valuable employee when he looked up Alessandra's address. Standing before her modest apartment building, Adrian hesitated. This was madness. He was about to leave when the building door opened and a young man in a wheelchair appeared. You must be the boss, the young man said with a knowing smile. I'm Mateo. She's at the pharmacy, getting my meds. Want to come up and wait? Against his better judgment, Adrian followed. The apartment was small, but warm. Filled with books, photographs, and evidence of a life rich in everything but money. Mateo showed him treasured family photos, telling stories of the sister who had sacrificed everything for him. After our parents died, she turned down a fellowship in Paris, said the hospitals here were better for me, but I know the truth. Mateo's eyes, so like his sister's, held Adrian's gaze. She gave up her dreams for me. What dreams? Adrian found himself asking, painting. She's brilliant, her work's in that closet. She thinks I don't know she still paints at night when she can't sleep. Curiosity, overwhelming propriety. Adrian examined the canvases. Mateo retrieved vibrant cityscapes, stirring portraits, all pulsing with life and emotion. She's extraordinarily talented, yes, Mateo agreed. But talent doesn't pay medical bills. That's when the door opened and Alessandra entered. The shock on her face quickly transformed to confusion. Adrian, what are you doing here? I came to discuss the Nakamura proposal. He lied smoothly over Mateo's homemade pasta. Adrian witnessed a side of Alessandra he'd never seen relaxed, laughing, unburdened by professional restraint. In her natural environment, surrounded by Love rather than luxury, she radiated a beauty that made his chest ache. Leaving that night, Adrian realized with crushing clarity that he was falling in love with a woman his family would never accept, tanned that his birthright, his legacy, and billions in assets hung in the balance. The night of the Heritage Gala arrived with suffocating inevitability. Coal Industries' most prestigious annual event served dual purposes: charity fundraising and public display of the family's continuing dynasty. Adrian adjusted his bow tie, his reflection revealing nothing of his inner turmoil. Tonight, Uncle Xavier expected him to announce his engagement to Cordelia Devereaux instead. He had invited Alessandra officially as his assistant, unofficially as something neither had dared define. She arrived in a midnight blue gown that transformed her from efficient executive assistant to ethereal vision. Adrian's breath caught painfully. "You look?" Words failed him. A soft blush colored her cheeks. "Professional enough for the company event?" "Breathtaking," he whispered throughout the evening. Adrian navigated the high-stakes choreography of wealth and power, while keenly aware of Alessandra's presence across the room. She handled herself flawlessly, charming board members and partners. Alike Xavier Cole materialized beside him, silver-haired and shark-eyed. "The Devereaux girl is expecting your announcement. The prenuptial documents are prepared." "I haven't proposed to Cordelia." Xavier's smile remained fixed, though his eyes hardened. "You have until midnight, or I activate the disinheritance clause. Everything your father built, everything you've built, goes to your cousins." As Xavier departed, Adrian spotted Cordelia approaching from one direction and Alessandra from another. The collision of his two worlds was imminent. Cordelia reached him first, champagne flute in hand. "Darling, everyone's waiting for our big moment." Her voice carried deliberately. Alessandra froze several feet away, close enough to hear. Her eyes met Adrian's, a flash of understanding and pain crossing her features before her professional mask locked back into place. Before Adrian could react, commotion erupted near the main entrance. Camera flashes began popping as reporters surged into the ballroom led by Dorian Webb, a notorious scandal journalist whose career was built on destroying reputations. "Mr. Cole," Webb called out. "Care to comment on Coal Industries' involvement in the offshore tax scheme we're exposing?" Tonight, the room hushed. Adrian stiffened, genuinely blindsided. "There is no scheme." Webb smirked. "Our sources and documents suggest otherwise." In that moment, Adrian saw his empire teetering. False allegations could trigger investigations that would freeze assets and spook investors, regardless of truth. Unexpectedly, Alessandra stepped forward. "Mr. Webb, I believe you've been misled." Her voice rang clear and confident. "Those documents were falsified by Westmore Solutions after their failed hostile takeover attempt." She turned to the crowd. "As Mr. Cole's executive assistant, I can provide immediate access to the authenticated financial records that prove Coal Industries' complete compliance with all tax regulations." Webb faltered. "Can't possibly have I prepared those records myself this afternoon." Anticipating this exact scenario after receiving intelligence about Westmore's plans, she produced a flash drive. "Everything is here, including Westmore's digital fingerprints on the falsified documents." The room erupted in murmurs. Xavier Cole looked stunned. Cordelia appeared furious at being upstaged. As security escorted the deflated journalists out, Adrian stared at Alessandra in wonder. She had just saved everything not with wealth or power, but with foresight, intelligence, and loyalty. In that crystallizing moment, Adrian Cole knew what he truly couldn't live without, and it wasn't his fortune. The aftermath of the averted scandal left the gala in disarray. Board members clustered around Alessandra, while Xavier Cole pulled Adrian into a private antechamber. "The girl saved us," Xavier admitted grudgingly. "But don't let gratitude cloud your judgment. The announcement—" "There will be no announcement," Adrian stated flatly. Xavier's face hardened. "You have until midnight." "Keep it," Adrian said. "Keep the trust, the inheritance, all of it." "You can't be serious." "For the first time in my life, I am completely serious." Adrian straightened to his full height. My father built this company from nothing after his family disowned him for marrying my mother. In fact, you've conveniently erased from family history, Xavier paled. Who told you that lie? My mother, before she died. The Cole marriage clause isn't about preserving legacy, it's about control. My father accepted it to protect me, but I won't continue the cycle. You would throw away billions for some assistant? Xavier spat. I would throw away billions for the right to choose my own life. Adrian left his uncle sputtering and searched the ballroom for Alessandra, finding only Cordelia instead. I assume our arrangement is terminated, she said coolly. It is. I apologize for the expectations that were set. Cordelia surprised him. With a genuine smile, good, my girlfriend in Paris will be relieved. Adrian blinked. You're what? We all make sacrifices for family expectations, Adrian. Perhaps it's time we stopped. Outside in the garden, Adrian finally found Alessandra sitting, alone beside a fountain. You're being offered partnerships at 3 different firms, he said, approaching slowly. Apparently saving a billionaire from scandal makes you quite marketable. She looked up, moonlight catching the teardrops on her lashes. I was just doing my job. No. You were protecting someone you care about. He sat beside her. Why? No, why? I need to hear it. Alessandra took a shaky breath. Because somewhere between hating your impossible standards and admiring your brilliant mind, I fell in love with you. But it doesn't matter. I've seen the prenuptial documents on your desk. I know about Cordelia. There's no Cordelia. Adrian took her hands. There's only been you, though I fought it with everything I had. Your family can accept my choice or not. I've already told Xavier I'm declining the inheritance if it comes with conditions. Alessandra gasped. Adrian, nor legacy, my? Legacy, he interrupted, will be building something authentic, not living a lie. He brushed a tear from her cheek. The night I saw your paintings, I realized what was missing from my life passion, beauty, meaning. You showed me a different kind of wealth. I can't let you give up everything. Not giving up anything. That matters. He pulled her to her feet. Cole Industries is mine. Regardless, own controlling interest outright. The trust is substantial but unnecessary. What about society? The board? Adrian laughed. The board just witnessed you save the company single-handedly. They're more likely to offer you a directorship than object to us being together. Inside, the orchestra began a new melody that drifted into the garden. Dance with me, Adrian whispered. Drawing her close, as they swayed beneath the stars, Alessandra looked up at him wonderingly. When did you know that I loved you? It's probably the first day, when you valued your brother over impressing me. He pressed his forehead to hers. Did you know? When you remembered how I'd take my coffee after I mentioned it once? 3 months ago, Adrian smiled. Black with 1 sugar and a splash of almond milk. From the ballroom doors, Xavier Cole watched his nephew with the assistant, his expression unreadable. Beside him, Rhiannon placed a hand on his arm. He's right about grandfather disowning father, she said quietly. Perhaps it's time we honored our true legacy, the courage to choose love over convention. Xavier's stern facade cracked slightly. He's exactly like his father. Yes, Rhiannon. Agreed. Unstoppable when he knows what he wants. In the garden, oblivious to the watching eyes, Adrian finally surrendered to the feelings he'd fought for so long, kissing Alessandra with the certainty that some fortunes couldn't be measured in dollars and cents. For a man who had everything, he had finally found the one thing money couldn't buy and discovered he'd never needed anything more.